Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. It is a holiday weekend. It does not feel like one, but thank you so much for being here. Sorry we're a little bit late, but it's a holiday weekend, allegedly. Just feeling a little bit behind, but let's get right to it, shall we? Question from Motley. Where has Donald been the last 3 to 4 days? He hasn't spoken and was only seen once staggering around a golf course. Was he staggering? Like he actually got out of the golf cart? That's exciting for him. I don't know. I mean, it might surprise you guys to real know this, but I don't follow his movements unless I have to. Listen, he is checked out. So unless there's some pressing issue he needs to lie about to the American people, he is online, extremely online. He is having his inner circle lie to him about how great he is and how high his poll numbers are, and people are presenting his next grift to him. So, he's not engaged in the business of government anyway. I think sometimes though, and again, this is, I think, informed speculation, that when he disappears for 2, 3 days at a time, it's probably because there's something going on that they can't cover up for. That's my guess. But it's not nobody who's president of the United States should disappear for 3 or 4 days at a time, even if they're on vacation. Like, there's always photographic evidence of what they're doing or eyewitnesses count. So, yeah, it's typically not a good thing. Lori, comment. Mary, question, sorry. Mary, can you please give us insight as to why Donald's followers believe him, even though it's been shown he's a pathological liar? That's actually something that okay, let me start over. I think the reason they don't believe he's a pathological liar is because they believe the sources telling them that are not to be trusted. It's the liberal media, right? Now, the Washington Post is a lost cause at this point. But before Jeff Bezos destroyed it during the first Trump administration, it was still a relatively accurate, decent, reliable publication. So, given that, I think it was Daniel Dale who had a running total of the public lies Donald told. And I say public because it's important. Like, Dale didn't put it in these terms, but I certainly did. We were told that Donald, in that 4 years, lied approximately 40,000 times. So I think it's important to add this caveat. He lied publicly 40,000 times. Who knows how many times he lied privately? So why did people not believe this? Because it was the Washington Post saying so. But here's the thing I can't wrap my head around. It is so obvious when Donald's lying. The only thing I can think is that people hate being wrong. So they put their trust in this person who, as it turns out, is lying constantly about everything, and they would rather believe he's telling the truth than that they were wrong about him. That is a sort of default of human psychology, and it is not serving us well. Philip, question. Mary, have you heard the term soft secession of blue states to describe the plans they're working on to protect their states from the federal government? I have not heard that term, actually. I don't actually think it's a great term. And I'll tell you why. I mean, I'm not saying that's not like a version of what's happening, but right now, it's the blue states who represent what America is supposed to be, not the red states that the federal government currently represents, to the exclusion of everything else, right? So I think what's happening is the blue states are protecting, are literally the last defense against encroaching fascism. They are at the leading edge of trying to save American democracy. So if seceding in that context means abdicating all responsibility, and that actually means that the federal government, as it's currently constituted, is America. And I don't think we want to make that concession. But I see what you're saying. Blue states are doing everything they can to add congressional districts that favor Democrats to counter the ways in which Republicans are doing that in red states. I know that there's been talk about withholding the funds that blue states give to the federal government, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, it's all necessary and important, but I prefer to think of it as they are trying to save this country, not secede from it. Douglas, question. If you could choose only one for your playlist, are you partial to Springsteen or Billy Joel? I actually, Billy Joel for this reason. I mean, Springsteen's great. I was just in Milano and had the incredible opportunity to see his last concert of this current tour. And I'd seen a concert a couple of years ago, and Bruce Springsteen and his brilliant guitarist Nils Lofgren, who's one of the best musicians on the planet. They put on quite a show. I mean, the band is extraordinary, from the drummer to the keyboard player to the horn section to the backup singers. I mean, these guys just blow it out of the water. Men and women blow it out of the water every single time. That having been said, though, I grew up with Billy Joel in a way I did not grow up with Bruce Springsteen. So I'm just kind of partial. Like, I have a fondness for Billy Joel's music because, I mean, my friends and I owned every single one of his albums, and we listened to all of them, like Billy, so many times. There's not a number. But again, Bruce Springsteen is incredibly talented, but he also surrounds himself with some of the best musicians on the planet, including and especially the aforementioned Nils Lofgren, who is like the greatest guitarist. And by the way, for those of you who aren't aware, and you should be, Nils also has a brilliant solo career, and he's an incredible songwriter and singer in his own right. So check out all of his albums because he rocks. And that man can shred like nobody. So, seriously. Angela, question. Can you discuss the stages of grief for psychopaths? If King Menace has been informed of worsening health, how will he handle it? Will he take it out in the world? There is no grief. Grievance. Psychopaths, sociopaths, they have an extraordinarily limited range of emotions. So it's not that he would feel grief. He would feel sorry for himself. And one, I don't really think that he would be able to process it. Because I think Donald probably believes that he can outlast everything, but much more importantly and worrisomely for us is that he doesn't believe anything can survive him or should. He literally can't imagine a world without him. He doesn't believe in legacy. He doesn't believe in successors. So I don't know if it's so much about his health as it is about, like, let's say, for example, he found out that JD Vance was attempting to take over, like they were going to enact the 25th Amendment, get rid of Donald and install JD Vance, or some other scenario like this. If Donald felt that he was losing his grip on power, and that there was literally no way for him to avoid that. He would take all of us down with him. So that's how he's going to take it out on the world. This is why you never, ever, ever give the nuclear codes to somebody who has the severe psychiatric disorders has, and who also happens to be a complete and utter moron. For future reference, guys, like if we get a chance to do this all over again. Barbara, question. I'm studying to be a school librarian. Oh my God, that's awesome. And have to read 2 young adult fantasy sci-fi books this semester. Since I know that's a genre you're into, do you have any recommendations? I do. Damn it. But I can't think of this woman's name off the top of my head. Oh no. It's like I literally have a couple of her books in the other room. Let me think about it. Hopefully it'll come to me. It probably won't. Darn it. Sorry. But I'll do my best. If not, just like check in on a live this week, and I will have that information for you. Sorry, Barbara. And also congratulations, because librarians totally rock. P Tourist, question. The View is in an exceptionally long summer break, 6 weeks. Do you think this might be due to issues between ABC News and Donald, since the co-host is very outspoken against him? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point. Nothing. You know, apparently ratings don't matter. It's all about appeasing Donald. So I hope that is not the case. I hope that is not the case, because that would, like, where is nobody going to stand up against this insanity? It's quite to say it's alarming is an understatement at this point. Mida Cheryl gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. Thank you, as always, Mida Cheryl. Jennifer, question. Hi, Mary. Love your work. Thank you. This Labor Day, let's celebrate all the people with disabilities who have more education and a better work history than Donald or RFK. Yes, absolutely. I mean, seriously, what these 2 miscreants, entitled trust fund babies, are trying to do to people with disabilities, the way they malign people with disabilities, the way they're trying to make it harder for people with disabilities to get by is disgraceful. And yeah. And like, people don't know this, but most people who are on Medicaid work harder than Donald or Robert Kennedy has worked a day in their lives. Gary, question. When Donald is at a dinner with Putin, do you think he'll say, I'll have what he's having? I really hope not. Thank you for when Harry, when Harry met Sally reference. I hope not. But with those 2, you never know. Ben, question. As Donald gets sicker, he may need hospitalization. 1 trip to Walter Reed would make him look very weak. Do you think he'll resist the advice of his doctors to avoid those optics? Well, okay. First of all, the White House itself has a fairly extensive medical facility. The only reason he went to Walter Reed when he had COVID was because he had a very, very, very bad case of COVID. So he didn't have a choice. If he has a choice, yeah, sure, he'll resist it as long as possible. And as for making him look weak, listen, he got it. He almost died from COVID. He didn't comply with doctor's orders. He made himself sicker than he needed to be. He left the hospital before he was supposed to. He probably infected many other people with COVID because he doesn't give a shit about other people. Did it make him look weak? I don't know. I mean, I thought it was pathetic and weak, but A lot of tens of millions of people still voted for him, and here we are. He's in the Oval Office again. So, uh, the larger to your larger question, though, yes, he will resist. If he thinks it will make him look weak, he will resist for sure until he can't. Mighty Cheryl, thank you again, as always. Question: what's the hobby you'd like to try but haven't? Hmm. Hmm. It's an interesting question. There are so many things, actually. Like there are things that I'd like to try that I know I wouldn't be good at, but that I know if I took lessons, I could get some facility with them, like drawing or painting. Like I have no innate abilities in either of those things, but I also know like it's like anything else. Like you can be taught to be relatively good at anything as long as you have the appropriate eye-hand coordination or what have you. Um, like I would never be a great uh, draw draughts person or artist or painter ever. But, I'd like to learn how to do those things in a way that's not embarrassing. But also then there are things that I've never been able to try because I've never had access to them. Like I've never held a cello. I've never tried to play the drums. Um, that would be really cool. So I mean, in terms of sports, I've pretty much tried all of the sports and I know exactly which ones I like. So it would be more like finding other creative things that I either haven't ever tried or haven't been taught how to do. So I think that's pretty much the direction I'd go in. Great question. Thank you. Shauna, thank you. Super sticker. That's awesome. Much appreciated. His Divine Scotto. Thank you as always. Excellent question. Is is it possible Donald is an amalgamation of every orange-haired bully in TV shows and movies I saw growing up? Nah, he's worse than that. I wish I knew who said this first, but Donald is literally as if somebody went into a laboratory and created the worst person who's ever lived. He's like a creature that was deliberately put together. So, yeah, it's quite something. Thanks, Grandpa. Oh, and Gam, like, she had something to do with it too. Oh, Gam is what I called my grandmother. She was wonderful. Okay, Phoebe, thank you so much, Phoebe. Question: was Donald dropped on his head as a baby? No one could be that dumb. Maybe. No, he was, neglected horribly as a young child, um, like, around the time he was 2. Also, my grandmother was not a very warm, affectionate person ever, so which is fine. I mean, D.W. Winnicott, who was a developmental I think it was a psychiatrist, but anyway, so in the or psychologist, I don't remember, quite frankly, but D.W. Winnicott, who studied human development, um, said something that I think is an incredibly important point to make. Mothers don't need to be perfect. They just need to be good enough, right? They need to make sure that the baby's needs are met for the most part, most of the time. And I mean, I think my grandmother probably provided those things. But then, when Donald was 2.5, she got very, very ill. And for about a year, at probably the most crucial developmental period of his life, she was not available emotionally or physically. Plus, the person taking over well, not taking over, the person who was supposed to take over the responsibilities of the primary caregiver, his father, my grandfather, was a sociopath. That is not a recipe for a healthy human being. So I don't think it's that he was dropped on his head. I think that he had two parents who were desperately ill-equipped to raise healthy children, who were healthy emotionally or psychologically. And now all of us are suffering for it because life is bizarre. Okay, Mark has some updates for us. Tomorrow, September 1st, is the next all 50 states nationwide protest. Oh, he repeated that same information 3 times. So I will repeat it one more time. Tomorrow, September 1st, Monday, is the next all 50 states nationwide protest. Okay. Now you know. Go check it out. Where is that is the closest protest to you? If you can, please. It's been a long time since we've had, at least as far as I'm aware, it's been a while since we've had anything going on. So we've got to start wrapping this stuff up. All right, Ghostly Air 59. Thank you as always. Question: Undead Uprising V. Of course. That's what I was expecting from you tonight. The world's gone full zombie mode. Honestly, not that far-fetched. Yeah. You get one person to fight by your side as your ride or die. Who is it? Nobody you know. But an awesome person. Somebody who will be my ride or die fighting zombies. We should all have that. We should all have at least one person who's our ride or die. We should have more than that, but one is a good place to start. And I very fortunately have more than one, but you asked me to pick one. And actually, quite frankly, all of the people who would be my ride or dies, you don't know. Okay. I mean, you might know a couple of them, actually, but good question. And I challenge everybody to figure out who your ride or die is for the oncoming zombie apocalypse. Because now that we don't believe in vaccines anymore, when there's zombies start taking over, we're not going to be able to develop any anti-zombie vaccines. So we're going to need to be prepared. Ellen, wow, thank you so very much for that. That's very generous of you. Comment happy 40th to David Brody of the Lawyers Committee Digital Justice Initiative. Awesome. Happy birthday, David. Very cool. Kendra, super sticker. Thank you as always, Kendra. Much appreciated. Carol, question. Mary, do you think that Donald's sons would run for president? They can try. No, I think one, I mean, they might, Donnie might because he's stupid, and he wouldn't realize what a bad idea it is. But, I mean, I honestly, I think that would be great, because it would be disastrous for them. However, I think they are both, despite being deeply unintelligent people, on some level, they must understand just how lucky they are, to be getting away with the murder they're getting away with, colloquially speaking, of course. Like, the massive amounts of money they are grifting off the American people. They are stealing from the American people with no impunity whatsoever, despite the fact that they are both two of the most worthless people who've ever walked the planet. I'm pretty sure they'll just keep doing that. And honestly, it's certainly not the worst thing, but one of the worst things Donald has done to us is subject us to people like my cousins. The fact that we even have to consider them, that we even have to worry that they might run for any elected office, the fact that we even need to talk about people like Stephen Miller or Caroline Levitt or Tom Homan or Kristi Noem is one of the worst things he has done to us. It is so degrading that he has elevated these grotesque grotesque people. Short answer, no, I don't think they will. But it would be fun if they did for us. Loretta, comment, please cover Newsom. We are living in California. We have been. We've been covering Newsom a lot. We've been reading out his tweets. We've been talking about the ways in which he has been beating Donald at his own game. Yeah, we're all over that. No, Newsom, Pritzker, Moore, Hochul to a degree. Blue state governors have been representing, and we need more people like them for sure. Greg, thank you so much as always. Comment, teach Americans critical thought fee. Yep, teach Americans critical thought. Start teaching civics in preschool and make it relevant to children's everyday lives. Don't make it seem like it's some separate thing that has nothing to do with them and they only need to learn about it for 6 months in junior year in high school. Also, media literacy, please. Those 3 things, and we solve a lot of problems. However, what's wrong with that scenario? You know how long that's going to take? Yeah. Tom, we have a new member. Thank you so very much, Tom. Welcome, and it is great to have you here. Elizabeth, thank you so very much. Opinion. Donald is a nihilist, it seems. He would burn Rome to rule over the ashes. Thank you, Mary. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. I completely agree. Donald is a nihilist. Again, like this is one way. There are many ways in which he's different from my grandfather. But one of the most obvious is that my grandfather actually believed in his legacy. My grandfather wanted his empire to survive in perpetuity, and he placed that trust in his children, especially Donald. And what did Donald do? Like 5 seconds after my grandfather died, he sold his whole empire, lock, stock, and barrel. So, oops. Hey, Grandpa, you picked the wrong son. Donald does not believe that anything can exist before him. He does not believe in legacy. I said that earlier. So, yes. Another pro tip, America, never, ever make a nihilist president of the United States. Cool. Let's not do that again if we have an opportunity. My kids, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. My Kitschfer. I think I got it wrong. My apologies. Member for a month. That's awesome. Comment. I share your videos with my aunt. She absolutely loves them. Also, she's a Republican. I love it. That's fascinating. Well, 1, thank you. 2, so glad your aunt loves the videos. Tell her I say hey or hi. That's probably more respectful. My apologies. And finally, I'm very curious, and I mean this with no disrespect. I'm legitimately curious. What does it mean to her to be a Republican still? Right? Like, I'm genuinely curious about that. So, thank you, Gina. Thank you so very much. Very kind. Johnny, question. Would Donald try to take away access to firearms for everyone if he thinks it's including supporters to be on the safe side? No. Never in a billion years. No, because he doesn't. I mean, he is the safest person on the planet. Nobody's getting at him. Trust me. So he doesn't care if the rest of us get shot or, his supporters shoot each other up. And also it would be trying to take away their guns. I mean, some of them would go for it because they're in a cult, but just look how they're reacting to the Epstein files. Trying to take away their guns. That would not fly ever. Gabriel, thank you so very much. Question: do you think he will get a third term? I am terrified. Well, no, I don't. But there are two different issues here. One is, will he be able to pursue a third term? Will he make it to the end of the second term? And if he doesn't, then JD Vance becomes president and he runs in 2028. The second issue is that if Donald does make it through this term, and if he decides to run again, the Republicans will let him. However, things will be so bad by then. I don't see it happening. It doesn't mean he's not planning it. I have no doubt in my mind he's planning it. So whether or not he gets one, I think that's highly unlikely. Richard, thank you very much, Richard. Comment. Love Greg's comment. My friend and I have talked about how 4 courses should be mandatory in our schools: statistics, economics, ethics, and home ec. Yeah, statistics, economics, ethics for sure. And again, I added media literacy and civics. And I think also, in addition to home ec, which should be taught to boys and girls equally. Also, I don't know what it's called now. Like, I never went to a school that had this because I went to private schools, but they used to call it shop. It was like, woodworking and mechanics and like how to fix a car, how to change a battery or change your oil, do stuff with wood. I don't know. I think there should be vocational training available to everybody, regardless. Like, even if you want to get a PhD in political science, you should know how to do stuff. You should know how to do the most basic, change a tire, etc. So yeah. And also, like, I think they call it vocational training. Well, you know what? That's important, valuable work. And we shouldn't wait until children are out of high school for them to take on more debt to go learn things that will help them have well-paying careers. Great comment. I read all of Carl Sagan's books as they came out. My baloney detector is pretty good, I bet. Yeah, Carl Sagan was a well-versed man. Charco, thank you so very, very much for this comment. Thank you for the Saturday break. You're very welcome. This is a Saturday break for me too, quite frankly. Excuse me. Gina, thank you, first of all, for that. Much appreciated. Question: did your uncle have a daddy? No. No. Nope. My grandfather, I mean, probably when his children were little, my grandfather was worth tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, but no. My grandmother single-handedly raised 5 kids. The only help was her mother-in-law, who probably wasn't much help. And yeah, it just wasn't done, you know? So, I mean, I think they had I don't remember when this started, but they had a live-in housekeeper, but that's different. Somebody to help the laundry and help, but not helping with raising the kids or anything. And that's okay, I guess, if your spouse does anything at all to help you, or if you're like physically and emotionally and psychologically in good shape. But none of that was true of my grandmother. Donald would have been much better off if he'd had a nanny. And so would have his siblings been. Elvira, thank you so very much. That's very kind of you. Comment: thanks a lot, Dr. Mary. You're very, very welcome. And thank you again. Susan McGregor is a new member. Thank you so much, Susan. It is wonderful to have you here. Ben, thank you very much, Ben. That's excellent of you. Question. Suppose the Dems get the presidency, House, and Senate in 2028. Do we go about business as usual or arrest 2/3 of Republican politicians and the owners of Fox for conspiracy to defraud the U.S.? Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask establishment Democrats who continue to have their heads in the sand, they would say, oh, well, everything's going to be just fine now if we just keep doing what we've been doing, to which I say, no, stop it. This whole we must look forward, not look back is what got us America sanctioning torture. It's what got us not holding the CEOs of banks accountable for bankrupting millions of Americans and destroying untold lives. It's what got us Donald Trump, for God's sakes. It's what got us Jim Crow. It's what got us to the brink of no longer having voting rights in this country. So, yeah, throw the book at all of them. And any Democrat who refuses, don't run again. Like, that should be the platform. If you do not subscribe to holding these people accountable and pledging to change the way this country does everything, don't run. And if you have the audacity to run, well, guess what? We are going to find somebody to primary you, and we will make sure you lose. Right? We need to be playing hardball, because if we're not, then we're not taking this seriously. And what else do we need to know? That we are in a dire a situation that requires out of the box thinking and people who are willing to fight for us and our democracy harder than these criminals are willing to fight for fascism and corruption. It shouldn't be that difficult, right? All right, last one, Lynette. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's a super sticker. And thank you so very much for that. Okay, guys. I was about to say it's been a long week. Well, it's Sunday, so that doesn't necessarily bode well. But for many people, tomorrow is a holiday. So hopefully you guys get some downtime. If you find a protest near you, please go if you can. And we will be back. It's going to be a lighter day than normal, but we will be back for the live tomorrow night. That's 6 p.m. Eastern, Mary Trump Live. So please do come check that out. Thanks to everybody watching on YouTube, live streaming, on Twitter, and our Substack, The Good Enoughs. To everybody listening to the podcast, to everybody who's a new member, who gifted new memberships, who's donated, to all of our super stickers. You guys are awesome. To our incredible moderators, and to my amazing team. And tonight, that team is Lexi. So thanks, Lex, for everything. It is so very much appreciated. And we will be back tomorrow night. Don't forget, check out all of our videos, because even though it's a light day, we were still going to have videos tomorrow. So check them out. It helps us tremendously. And we also think you're going to enjoy them. So there you go. It's a twofer. All right, guys. That's it. Thank you so much. And see you tomorrow night. In the meantime, please stay safe and be kind.